up, then I came up. I went down, then I got up. Dropped it in the armor. To the sun up. Told my bitch I'm wait up.
How's it going, everyone? Today I'm going to show you how I do my sound designing for these high energy videos. Sound design is kind of important when it comes to making these videos because it really ties in your song, your transitions, your effects, and anything else you're incorporating in this video. So let's get right into it and let me show you how I do it. For this tutorial, I'll be using Adobe After Effects and I will be using one of my own plugins, EssentialSFX. So EssentialSFX is built into Premiere Pro and After Effects and it's about to get a giant update.
Big update.
These are all custom-made designs that I made for Adobe After Effects and Premiere Pro specifically for these types of videos because they require a lot of energy and specific sounds to really tie it in. You also need a wide variety of sounds to be able to choose one that fits your song, your scene, and what you're going for. So EssentialSFX is available on my website. It's about to have a huge update. You don't want to miss that. So let's get right into this. So here on my video, all the effects, everything's done. This is the final render. And let me just show you the step-by-step process of what I do when I do my sound designing. When it comes to sound design, you can mute your music if you're using a song and just really get into it and try to make it sound good with just these sound effects. And of course, you can enable the audio just to hear it, what it sounds like with the song itself, because you need to make sure your sound effects match the song. So the first thing I like to do is my swishes, and then I'll go to my hits. So I'm gonna open up the swishes first. And in my extension for After Effects and Premiere Pro, you can hover over your assets and you can hear them live before you apply them. The biggest problem I had when I was doing sound design is that it's so annoying going through thousands of files just to maybe find one you might like. So I want to incorporate all into here. And as I said, get ready for the next update of this extension. So what I'm gonna do first is I'm gonna go through my sounds and see one that I want. So the first sound effect is probably gonna be a bigger one because it is the drop right here. We have a shake going on and some high energy speed ramps. So let me find a shake that really ties in to the action and the hit of this effect. So this is what I'm gonna try out first. Just double click it, apply it to my scene. I'm gonna press L twice so I can see the waveform. And let me just set this up real quick and see what it sounds like. So if it's a little bit too fast, too slow, I like to right click, time stretch, and just adjust this slightly. I also like to lower my audio just a little bit. Cool, so that's the first one. I'm gonna move into the second speed ramp now. That is right here. We have a GTR logo. The badge extends into two other pieces. So let's add a swoosh in here first, and then maybe a sound effect for the animation of the GTR. So what I'm looking for right here, if I play it, is a quicker but smooth swoosh. Because it's a very smooth speed ramp. I have this light switch in here, and let me just open up my waveform once again, add that in. You are gonna notice throughout this video, there's gonna be a lot of stacking of audio files, and you just wanna make sure that you don't distort your audio. So make sure you have your audio tab open, and you can just double check to make sure it's not peaking. Cool, adjust my sound. And this is a sound effect I really like to use, so I'm gonna make sure I favorite it on EssentialSFX so I can come back to it later. I'm also gonna fade in the first swoosh because right here you can see it's already playing the audio. I want it to fade in, not be so noticeable. So what I'm gonna do is press L, keyframe my audio levels, put that to where the drop is, and I'll start it with around -35. Cool, that comes in sharp, fast, exactly how I want it. So since I do like this sound effect here, you can go ahead and start applying it to the rest of your footage. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go ahead and duplicate my layer, Control D, and I'm gonna start placing this into other spots that the swoosh might be great for. So right here, it needs to be a little bit faster, as I said. So I'm gonna increase the time stretch. And the reason is because this speed ramp is very fast. So you wanna make sure it matches your flow of the video. So I have multi-speed ramps here. So I'm gonna add one more in for this speed ramp here. I could use the same one, or I can try to look for a different sound that's a little bit quicker. I like this one right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and apply this one. And I'm gonna duplicate that one more time since the speed ramp does a pan down, an aggressive pan down. So we'll probably add a nice big hit there as well. But for now, we'll just keep to the swishes. Great, let's move on. Next clip, I'm gonna go back to that light swish that I have, or light whoosh. And I like to make sure my layers are all organized. I like to have it in a pyramid, stairway to heaven type looking timeline. So it helps me visualize and see exactly what I'm working on. Cool, so a little trick I'm gonna do right here is it goes in and then it reverses the same clip. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna duplicate my layer, right click, I'm gonna time reverse this layer. So I'm gonna have a reverse whoosh. Open up my waveform and let me just line this up. So we'll get a nice reverse in here, and I might even decrease it too by going to time stretch, and making this negative, let's go 85. Let's line it up, see what it sounds like. Cool. I love doing reverse on my sound effects. It just really ties in and gives it some more energy that it really needs. I'm gonna add another light swish right here. Right in this transition phase where it reverses. And I'm gonna make this a lot faster, probably around 70 on the time stretch, because it reverses in and then it reverses right back out. So we're gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna line this up, duplicate it, and let's time reverse layer. It will keep the same time stretch, so you don't have to worry about changing the speed. And I'll line that back up on the exit. Another thing that's important to note when you're doing your sound effects or sound design is that you want to make sure all your sounds complement each other. So you can see that this sound effect is very subtle. It sounds more of like a wind whoosh. So if I were to add something in like this, an echo whoosh, or something like this, which is more like a YouTube sound effect, it just wouldn't blend too well. So let me add that in to show you what I mean. So if I added in a whoosh like this, it just wouldn't really blend in with the vibe and the sound design I'm doing. See what I mean? It just doesn't fit in there. So you want to make sure all your sound effects complement each other and really tie in and blend and transition into the next. Just like when you're editing, you want to make sure your clips transition from one to another. So right here, we have a long pause where it feels like it's going like this, like ooh, and then it goes back in. So I want to get a more suspenseful thing in here. So I might look through the risers now. Risers are basically just longer swishes with a more of a buildup is what a riser is. So I'm gonna use this Magic Riser 02 in here. I'm also gonna favorite it because I like that one. And let me get that added right here. We'll have it end right at the beat drop. So you can see on the waveform compared to a whoosh, it doesn't fade out. It basically just stops right when it hits to the hit point that you want. That riser will end, and that's where you put a hit or a sound effect. You can also overlay this with a whoosh itself, but I'll show you that in a second. Cool. I'm gonna do some blending, keyframe my audio levels once again, have it 0 at the hit, and fade in right around here. Open up my waveform, and you can see I have a nice little blend going on. Cool. Let's throw on a light whoosh on top of this as well. So open that up, put that right here. It just helps blend it a little bit more and ease the fade out. And it'll help ease the fade out a little bit, but it'll be better once we add a hit sound effect in there. All right, we have another fast hit right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and add my fast whoosh 05 right here. Open that up, drag this here, put that on the top. And I'm gonna go ahead and reverse that fast whoosh once again for the outro. And I'm gonna duplicate that reverse a couple of times because I have a multi-speed ramp right here. I'm gonna do that right here. And we have a big transition right here. So we'll put that one more time. I wanna end this off very violently. It's like the buildup of the whole video ends right here. So I wanna make sure the sound effect transition all the way to the end. Cool, let me show you what I have so far with just the one riser and the swishes. Cool, so this looks great so far. So now let's move on to the hits and the impacts. So hits, or more so, think of the riser where it'll go up, go up, go up, and it'll stop right here and it'll just flatline. That's what a riser is. A hit is similar, where it'll hit right here and then it'll die down. So there's nothing before it. An impact is kind of a swoosh with a hit combined, if that makes sense. So it'll rise up, and then boom, big spike, it'll hit, and then it'll ease back down. Either or, you can use either or for this next step, which is hits and impacts. So I like to start with the hits and then impacts if I really want to do it for a big effect. So I do use my impacts mostly for bigger effects. So such as the drop right here, I'll probably use an impact just to get more suspense into this clip right here. So I'm just gonna scroll through here, find one that I like, find one that I feel suits the sound design I'm going for. For this one, so the deep impact I have here is pretty strong, but let's see if it'll work. So I'm gonna double click, add that in, open up my waveform, and make sure I line it up exactly on the hit point right here. I'm also gonna lower this just because I definitely need to, probably around like 9. Cool, so that sounds good. I'm gonna go ahead and fade it out even faster because it does go for a long period of time. So I'm gonna make sure that I have it cut out right around here. You also wanna do this because you don't want your levels to be distorting on your other layers. So if there's another big sound effect over here, this could probably interfere with it and distort it, so you don't want that. So I'm gonna go ahead and change the color of my hits or impacts just so you can see. I will also color code my swishes to green so you can see what is what. All right, so this impact was really big and I'm probably not gonna use it again because it was very powerful. And this video is too short to have a powerful impact once again. So right here is the next big impact, which has a nice little 3D overlay right here. So we have the hit right here. So for this one, I'm gonna go to hits. Once again, you could go to impacts. This is another heavy impact. I think I'm gonna try Impact 02 and see how this sounds. Sounds really cool, not gonna lie. It has that magical feel to it, but I'm definitely gonna lower this to around -6. Open up my waveform. Cool, I'm also gonna duplicate this and add this to my last one because I think it'll match the final hit right here. Line that up. And we can have it blend out. So let's see what we have so far with this song on. Cool, so I think the audio is pretty good. I'm gonna go ahead and just adjust a little bit more on the levels of these hits. And I'm adding one hit in here because there is a riser here, so a lot of suspense. I'm gonna go ahead and go to my hits category now and find a good hit that's not too crazy because there's not really any big effects here. It's just a transition to a different clip. I do like using my gunshot hit. It's a violent, quick, straight to the point hit. Sometimes it works very well, especially when you add a whoosh on top of it. Cool, so I'm gonna lower this to around -9. Just so we have a slight high-pitched hit in here, and I'm gonna overlay it with some more hits in here. I'm gonna try this slam hit right here. Let's overlay that on top. Once again, gonna lower the levels to around -6. And I'm gonna duplicate that hit one more time because we have a pretty big shake right here. And let's see what that sounds like. Lower it a little bit more to -8. I don't want it to take over the video. I just want it to complement the video. So I'm also gonna add a swoosh in there to blend it in, a quicker swoosh. So I'll put it right there. Put this -5. So I'm pretty much done with my sound design, and it seems pretty easy. I've been told that it looks pretty easy when I do it, but it's literally just a process, and you just have to hear it and feel it. Just, is this feel right? Is this too loud? Does this belong here? Is the video better if I put the sound effect here? Do I need to stack more sound effects? Does it need little animation sound effects? Little ambience noises? Who knows? So let me play this right here with all the hits and swooshes, and then I'll see if I want to add anything else into here. Sounds pretty good to me. Let me play it with just the sound design. So I think I'm gonna add one more sound effect in here that I love to use. It's been an addiction of mine to use, and it's a sword draw right here. So when these logos come out, let me add that in there. And I'm gonna make it very subtle once again, around -7. Because you have to keep in mind, if you're editing with headphones right now, these sound effects will be a lot easier to hear, especially the bassy tones. So I do recommend checking the sound design on both speaker and headphones, because not everyone's gonna be listening on headphone. Unless you want your audience to know that you really put a lot of things in here, there's a lot of bass sound effects and things in there to wear headphones. But other than that, it's most likely they're listening on a speaker. So keep in mind, you wanna make sure you tune it for audio out of a speaker. Cool, so this looks good. I might just add some slight reverb on here. So on the effects and presets, I'll add a reverb onto my sword drawn. And I'll increase the decay, reverb time, I'll lower it a little bit. And I'll increase the wet just a little bit more. Next thing I'm gonna do is right click, time stretch, put this to 75. Make sure I layer it right when it comes out, right here. And let me lower it just a little bit more to around -10. So after adding the sound effect in, I kind of get more ideas in the editing. So like if I was still editing this project, I would do maybe some more glowing effects, maybe some lights, maybe focus on the actual animation itself of the GTR logos coming out. Just because the sound effect is kind of allowing me and opening up more doors for more creativity. So that's one of the funnest things about sound design is you'll do the sound design and then boom, you'll have a bunch of ideas just because of the sounds. And that's why it's so important to do sound designing. Cool. And that concludes this video. I hope you enjoyed. If you do want to get EssentialSFX, which is about to have a massive update, it's available on Djordanmedia.com and you can get it right now. It is for After Effects and Premiere Pro. Leave a like and subscribe to my channel for more tutorials, more behind the scenes, more vlogs, all kinds of stuff. So I'll see you in the next video.